Hello everyone and welcome to the Gaming Den. Today's servant review is going to be over a centerpiece composition of the arts team, Tamamo no Mai. Tamamo no Mai is a 5-star caster servant which is best suited for a support role servant. Tamamo no Mai's stats when it comes to attack though is the lowest among the 5-star caster pool, but since she's more focused on support, we are more worried about her ability to live, in this case her HP. Her HP value is equal to both Da Vinci and Waver at both Grail and non-Grail values. With her HP mentioned, we go to her star absorption, which in this case is the lowest absorption rate amongst the 5-star counterparts. But as far as star generation, she has the highest tied with the offensive caster Zhang Shang at 11%. If I messed it up, I do apologize. I have said before, I am terrible at pronunciation. That being said, her Noble Phantasm is the lowest among the 5-star casters, but let's go over how this isn't an issue for her. First, Tamamo no Mai has 3 arts in her attack tool kit, along with having 1 quick and 1 buster to use. With her attack kit being this way, she has few issues getting an arts chain with other servants or if she is alone. That being covered, we move on to our attack hit count for the other reason as to why it's fine for her Noble Gen to be so low. Her attack count on her buster is 1 hit, 3 hits on a quick, and then 5 hits on an art, and finally her extra hits for 4. Now, with her arts being 5 hits, she can accelerate her Noble Phantasm generation quite easily, allowing her more spam of her Noble Phantasm. Tamamo no Mai's Noble Phantasm is one that you actually should spam constantly if possible, for several reasons, but we'll go over that later into the video. That being said, looking over Tamamo no Mai's passive skills, the first one is being her having Territory Creation C, which gives her art effectiveness a 6% boost, which helps her Noble Phantasm gain even further since her effectiveness affects all parts of the art's attack, including Noble Phantasm generation. Her other passive skill is due to her having Divine Trait as a servant, which is called Divinity A, which gives her a 200-point boost to each of her attacks. Now, next we go into her active skills, which will show why she is such a useful support role servant. Her first skill is called Curse EX. This skill allows Tamamo to drain the enemy's a single charge of their Noble Phantasm bar. Since this skill has chances to drain the first plates that are relatively high, you can work on this last if you so choose to, but at the same time you might want to consider working on it before her second skill. At level 1, she has an 80% chance draining the enemy's Noble Phantasm with a 7-turn cooldown. However, at level 10, it has a 100% chance to drain their Noble Phantasm with a 5-turn cooldown, so it's very useful to have against enemies. It allows for an extra turn to set up when you need to potentially win the fight next turn or you're setting up a defensive place. How you use it changes situation to situation, but it doesn't change this skill's really useful. That being said though, this is not her best skill yet. With that, we go into her second skill, which her second skill helps her keep alive in general, which is called Morph A. This skill provides Tamamo with a defensive buff which increases her defenses for 3 turns and further increases her defenses by 30% for a single turn. The normal defense increase for 3 turns starts at 10% at level 1 with a 7-turn cooldown and at level 30% buff for 5-turn cooldown, which allows her to tank through normal hits better and just be able to take a Noble Phantasm attack if the damage is not too high. Granted, this does not necessarily guarantee she'll live through it, but it does help. This is a very useful skill to continue to provide her support, but it's still not her best skill, so you should not honestly focus on it. Possibly it should be your last skill that you focus on after focusing on Curse EX. This skill we go into though, however, is her best skill. It's easily her best skill and a major part of why she is considered a centerpiece in the arts team. Now, her final skill is called Fox Wedding EX. This skill single-handedly is her bread and butter of her toolkit to use and a saving grace as well at multiple times. Now, without doing the interlude, this skill provides to a single target with an arts effectiveness increase of 30% at level 1, with a 7-turn cooldown on the skill and a 50% boost at level 10. Now that part in itself makes it her best skill as it helps your carries of your arts team even stronger for 3 turns on their arts attacks. But we aren't done. What if I told you it went a step even further beyond this one? To a level of power even further than this one. No, Tamamo no Mai is not going Super Saiyan on use. Or is she? Jokes aside, after completing the interlude, this skill keeps the same in power for arts increase. However, in the cooldown stay the same, but it also now heals the target as well. That's right, the skill heals. It's not huge, but it's enough to keep someone in the fight at level 1, as it heals them for 1k damage, and then at level 10, it heals for 2500. Even if you don't have this team built fully arts, it's still useful to have to heal to be able to continue the fight. Now that skill is her most important skill. It should be leveled ASAP. But what if I told you the cooldown can be reduced even faster and we ascend to an even higher attack step? Well, I shouldn't say attack, but you get what I mean. We're going to another... Okay, seriously though, I need to stop. What I'm talking about though is her noble Phantasm, Eightfold Blessing of Amaterasu. This is a noble Phantasm that does not deal damage, so please keep that a note. However though, it does have an interlude to help increase its strength of what it does. This noble Phantasm heals your party at level 1 for 1000 HP, and then at level 5 for 2000 HP, regardless of its level, it reduces the cooldown on skills by a turn. So as shown in the example, it subtracts a turn for an extra turn, so instead of it doing just only one turn, it makes it effectively like 2 turns have passed. Her overcharge effect on the Noble Phantasm actually gives at 100% a 25% refund on Noble Phantasm charge and 50% at 500%. Now I may say refund, but the best way to use it typically is to either heal with it or to help after they have used their Noble Phantasms to help recharge their Noble Phantasm faster. Now, since it gives back Noble Phantasm, it's my personal suggestion to use it last, so you can get the most out of it for an arts team, which is about gaining Noble Phantasm anyways. Wait, what? There's a step even further. After the interlude, Tamamo no Mai's Noble Phantasm increases the healing capability of the Noble from 1k to 2k at level 1. That's right. Her interlude made the heal as strong as level 1 at level 5 without the interlude. She has a level 5 Noble Phantasm that heals the party for 3000 HP. So remember we talked about some of Martha's tankiness before in a previous review? Now, this is going to go into a different team style, but consider that her Noble gives health back to an already tanky unit that also then reduces cooldowns. Well, that made her survivability just go up even more. Tamamo is an overall excellent unit, but she does have her downside. Due to being a weak attack stat among 5-star casters, having 3 arts and no damaging Noble Phantasm, her damage output is relatively low. While she can buff her defense, she has no invincibility or dodge skills by herself, so her survivability is kind of lower than what it could be. That being said, she is the best art support servant that is an easy first to go to servant for that purpose, and very reliable in stall teams for later high difficulty challenges as well. Her toolkit makes her very capable of setting up plays when they are needed most, which includes party-wide heals, reduces cooldowns, and just in general providing more Noble Phantasm after nobles have been fired off, all wrapped up into just her Noble Phantasm. While her generation is not that good, having 3 arts allows her to have the ability to set up art chains relatively easy, considering her Noble is also an arts, meaning that she has effectively 4 arts to work with almost at all times. Some suggestions for Tamamo no Mai, as far as craft distances go though, she could use any number of them honestly, involving arts effectiveness or art MP gain. The 2 I wish is featured though, however, one of them is not suggested at all through other places I have looked through. But I personally use it myself, and I actually think it's worth mentioning. The CE I personally suggest is called Little Halloween Devil, which provides 20% Noble Phantasm gain at the start of the battle, with her having 50% Noble Phantasm charge. This, along with Waver, allows her to fire off her Noble Phantasm turn 1 if you so desire, allowing her 2 turns of cooldown being taken away immediately just from using Waver's skills. And then you can also have her sit at 70% and then just have her go into an arts chain, which charges her up to 90%. and then easily fill it up with to 100% just through her own attack in said chain. The other CE I suggest is actually suggested amongst other places, and it's one that I suggest, however, though, is called Tamamo's Fan Club, which is her bond CE, so it takes a good bit of work to get, but it's still highly suggested for an arts team in general, as it provides 15% increase of arts effectiveness to party while she is on the field. Due to her toolkit, this is nothing that hard, she could easily live through the long game easily due to her noble Phantasm, healing skills, and defensive buffs. With all this information, don't forget to love your fluffy fox shrine maiden, as her tail is good civilization. This has been an in-depth servant review of Tamamo no Mai. Thank you for joining me in the Gaming Den.